Well, third iteration of this deck. Not sure why we didn't have the first two on here before, but there we go. Blue Flare. Hello everyone, thank you for tuning into T Forbidden's YouTube page. It is I, Osama the Fanatic, back at you with the Blue Flare deck that I have been tinkering and toying around with for the last year or so since BT10 came out. Not really much to say. It's a really good deck. I'm unfortunately not running... This is not the really competitive version of it. I'm going more pure blue based, but I can tell you a couple of cards that you can take out and change around if you want to go for the super competitive version of it. So first off, like every Digimon deck, we start off with the Digi-Eggs. So starting off with 3 Wanyumon. This is basically the new best blue egg. If you have a blue tamer, when you attack, you draw a card. Nice and simple. I still like running the Upamon as well. This is the second best blue egg, where if you do not have... If your opponent has a Digimon with no sources, you draw a card. You could run a 4-1 split if you like, but I really just like the 3-2. That's basically all there is to that. Your eggs just help you draw extra cards. For our rookies, we're starting off with 4 Gaussmon. This is the main rookie you want to Digivolve into. Digivolve into this. Swing. Play one of your level 4s for free, excuse me. But yeah, this is your main rookie in Blue Flare that you go into. You can run the Dracomon if you like, but you can run the Dracomon if you like. It's basically what it comes down to. I basically replaced the Dracomon with these because we finally have this card now. 4 copies of Belucomon. It's the blue security rookie. When it's revealed, you draw 2 and then you add it to your hand. Basically, any blue deck, if you're not running a specific engine, like, I don't know, Vmon or something like that, if you're not running, super specific engines, you run 4 of this guy. And then to round off the blues, we've got 2 Madoki Beta and 2 Sayakomon. Madoki Beta, because everyone still uses memory boosts or has memory gaining effects of some kind. Sayakomon is, it just makes the green matchup even easier, because you're already stunning their board if they're swarming. And this prevents Digisorption and any other stuff. Moving on to our level 4s. We are starting off with the key piece of this deck. 4 copies of Blue Greymon from BT10. On play, you reveal the top 4. Add any 2 cards with Blue Flare in their traits into your hand. You want to play this for free off of the Gaussmon 9 times out of 10. 4 copies of Male Bergermon as well, to play your Carry Head Tamer for free if it's in your hand, or you return a Metal Greymon from your trash to your hand. Metal Greymon is the heart and soul of this deck, and I should also mention, all the Digicross Digimon have a mechanic called Save. Basically, if they were to be deleted, instead of going into your trash, they would go under one of your tamers that are on board instead. Blue Flare has an Achilles heel, if you will, where if your opponent only has 1 Digimon on board, this deck is almost never going to pop off. So Greymon has an inheritable for if you've got Blue Flare in your traits, and you swing with the Digimon that's on top of it, you unsuspend it. Male Bergermon has something similar, but it just stuns any other Digimon if your opponent has 2 or more Digimon in play. So all of the Blue Flare inheritables basically require your opponent to have 2 or more bodies on the board in order to pop off. 3 Decordramon as well. That's our final Blue Flare level 4 that we are running. On play, you draw 1, and then you draw an additional card for every Digimon that your opponent has out. And then if your opponent has 2 or more Digimon, the Digimon that has this under it has plus 1,000 DP. To round off my champions, I like running a pair of 2 Cordramon, simply just because I like having extra bombs in the security that get me card draws. You can easily just replace these with the security attack +1 Greymon from the first starter deck, since the Metal Greymon does not specify the color of the Greymon that is used as Digicross material. But that's basically the one card that you can change out if you want to make this thing slightly more aggressive and not auto lose to the Mother D Reaper matchup, unless of course your opponent has 2 gatekeepers out, in which case that's it. You're basically screwed. You're not winning. For the 5s, 4 copies of Metal Greymon from BT10. You run no less than 4. This is literally the backbone of your entire deck. It's the ace card, and it does pretty much everything, depending on what you've got under it. So, this Metal Greymon is based on the one from Digimon Cross Wars, or Digimon Fusion, if you're familiar with the dub over here in the West. And it has a special mechanic called Digicross. Digicross basically means you have materials that are listed on the card down here, and you reduce the play costs of hard playing this Digimon from your hand by placing said cards under it. So, for example, if I were to take a Greymon and a male Bergermon and stack them on top of each other, and then stack this card on top of it. Kind of like DNA Digivolution, but it uses your hand as well as the field, and with some card effects, you can use stuff under your tamers as well. So this thing, when it comes out, it's automatically got Rush, so you don't have to worry about waiting another turn in order to, attack and do stuff with it. The other thing it does is it stuns up to 3 Digimon on your opponent's board that have fewer evolution sources than it does. Did I mention this card was the backbone of this deck and you run no less than 4? This thing is so good. But yeah, you run no less than 4 of it. To complement our Metal Greymon, we also run 2 copies of Metal Greymon plus Cyber Launcher. I should add that reducing play cost does get hindered by the cards like Solarmon and Chikurimon that have the play cost reduction blockers. Psychmon for purple. This is basically your in-deck out to that. So you can Digicross it by Digivolving, by placing a Metal Greymon and a Cyberdramon under it, or you can just Digivolve it on top of your Metal Greymon for 2, or any of your level 4 blue flares for 4, but if you're doing that, you're sincerely desperate. But yeah, this thing, on player when Digivolving, you place a blue flare card from your hand or one of your tamers under it, and then bounce a level 3 or lower back to the bottom of the to the bottom of the owner's deck, and then if you've got Cyberdramon in there, you bounce a level 4 or lower, an additional level 4 or lower as well. Unfortunately, we don't have Cyberdramon in this deck. I'd like to find the room, but unfortunately, I just can't. I just can't justify running the Cyberdramon in here. To round out our level 5s, we've got 3 copies of Decker Greymon. Both of these have Armor Purge, so the idea is that you'll go into your Metal Greymon. If you have the memory, you go into the Cyber Launcher or the Decker Greymon to get yourself a little extra protection when swinging into the stack. So that way you can swing, and if it survives, thanks to the Armor Purge, you can swing again. Assuming they give you 2 bodies on the board to deal with. So yeah, for those who want to know how to play around Blue Flare, keep only 1 body on board if possible. For our Megas, we're running 3 copies of the new Z Greymon from BT11. This thing is super good. It digivolves from red or blue for 3. And unsuspends when it digivolves. And then if the opponent has if you've got a Digimon with blue flare or cross art in the trades, and your opponent has 2 or more Digimon, you gain 2 memory. This thing is great. And on deletion, basically it saves itself, and then you can place a blue Greymon and a blue male Bergermon from your trash from under your tamers. So it helps you set up your Digicross plays as well. How the blocker comes up is you basically use your Decker Greymon or your Metal Greymon Cyber Launcher to attach it from under your tamer, and congratulations, you now have a blocker with Armor Purge. And this thing is basically your game ender, and it does so much for the deck. It's a game ender and a finisher, and occasionally a something that can save your butt in tough situations. Into the Tamers, we are running 4 copies of Kiriha Anuma. Memory Setter starts you off at 3, and any Digimon that you have placed under him can be used as Digicross material. Nothing much else I need to say. You literally run 4 of this card until EX4 hits. This deck is going to almost completely change once EX4 rolls around, because we've just got other pieces to play with. I'm also running 2 copies of Sora Takenoichi and Jokido. This is the second best blue tamer for this deck, I believe. Again, until EX4 runs around. You can run the triple tamer if you like, but the problem that I have with the triple tamer is it's white. It's not blue, and you need blue for this effect to go off. Plus, Sora and Joe can help set up, other stuff by stripping sources from the opponent's Digimon whenever you attack. Helps you stun stuff with Metal Greymon, and something else that we'll get to in a few moments. So, starting off the options, we're going with the most first. 4 copies of Blazing Memory Boost. Unless this card gets restricted to 1 copy per deck because Blue Flare becomes, I don't know, a problem of some sort, you run as many of this card as you can. Turn 1, this is one of the best memory boosts in the entire game. I'm not kidding. I may have a slight bias to that, but look at top 6, add 2, and potentially play a Tamer for 5 memory that you can cash in later for just an additional 2 memory. This card is nuts! The funny thing to note, though, is apparently Bandai didn't know if they were going to be going with the dub names or the original Japanese names for this series. So the original copies of this card, this is the revised version, called this card Christopher Anuma. This card's name is clearly not Christopher. But yeah, Blazing Blue Memory Boost. You run no less than 4 in this deck. This card is super OP in the Blue Flare deck. To round out our options and our deck, we have 2 copies of Sorai. God, this card is super dumb. It basically stuns your opponent. And speaking of stunning, we have the 1 Ice Wall because we can only have the 1. So yeah, that's it for the Blue Flare deck. If you guys would like to see a more semi-optimized build, my suggestion would be wait until EX4, because that's coming out, next month? End of next month. And it's basically going to completely change how the deck plays. However, if you would like to see a little more Metal Greymon intuitive, I have a couple of other fun ideas that I had for the deck as well. As I mentioned, you can take out the 2 Cordramons for the security attack plus 1 Greymon. That's something a lot of people do. Other people try to find room for Metal Greymon X. That's also something I could do. But aside from that, that's basically it right now. Go ahead and try it out if you want. Go ahead and throw some of the red stuff in there. It works really well. I'm not kidding. Literally, the only way that you will basically lose with this deck is if you, for some reason, don't see your pieces, or your opponent just plays smart and your security is just terrible and they have only 1 body on board at a single time. So guys, that's Blue Flare. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell down below for notifications, and we will catch you next time.